Hey, genius, how's it going? All right. So we got 10 questions for atheists from an atheist. So we'll go this way. This video was suggested. Hey, atheist Velociraptor. I like that. Atheist Velociraptor. That's good. Do more late night streams? I can probably do that. I'm up now because I'm on a bad sleep schedule. I'm falling asleep at like 9 a.m., waking up at like 3. So, all right. Hey, Ed, I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. Very not depressed. Kind of mellow, actually. Not sure what the next step is. I mean, I think the next step would be to build the atheist religion thing. I think that's the next goal. I'm not sure. Still kind of fuzzy on what the next goal should be. But all right, let's do these 10 question thingies.
Hello and welcome. I'm Joe from Answers in Reason. Answers in Reason is an atheist site and channel that tries to promote good conversations with both theists, atheists, and other forms of non-theists online. We like to discuss philosophy and science and, a bit of theology here and there. Recently, we posted 10 questions for theists, and so far I've been really enjoying the responses as they've been coming in, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing them with Dave in the future. As I've enjoyed them so much, though, I figured it would be good to ask our atheist and non-theist viewers the same sort of questions as well and see what you guys think. I'd really love some video responses, if you can, to feature on our channel, but if you just want to leave them in the comments on YouTube, that's absolutely fine as well. Question 1. With there being a number of different types of non-theist or atheist, what label do you use for yourself? And what does that mean to you? Now, this question isn't to spark a debate about the definition of atheism, as I think people should be allowed to identify how they like, and the underlying meaning is actually what's important. The purpose of the question is more to act as a census of non-theists and see if folks are using their labels in the same way.
Alrighty, let's go with that question first. Derp. What label do you use to describe yourself? I go with the atheist. I like atheist, and I'm happy to use that on either meanings, either the positive rejection of the existence of God or the lack of belief in a God. Either one is fine by me. I don't care. I'm happy to take either position on a debate. So I don't particularly think either definition is more right or more wrong. They're both used in different contexts. The position that God does not exist is how it's used in philosophy, and most philosophers are strong atheists in that sense. So you can say God does not exist, which is perfectly reasonable. And most colloquial people use the definition of lack theism, the lack of belief, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why common people use the definition of lack of belief, whereas philosophers don't, and it's because in philosophy, you don't have to prove things with certainty. You don't to get knowledge. So, if you're talking to somebody on the street and you say you're an atheist, I believe God does not exist, they're going to be like, "Oh, prove God doesn't exist," as if that's a valid response. In philosophy, that's a stupid response because you don't need to prove it doesn't exist. You just need to give sufficient reason to believe it doesn't exist. So, in colloquial usage, people use lack of belief instead to just avoid the annoying question of, well, prove God doesn't exist. But in philosophy, you don't need to. You can just be like, I believe God does not exist, and the reason is because there's no evidence, and that's sufficient. So there is a completely justifiable reason to use the lack of belief definition for people, and there's a completely justifiable reason to use the rejection of existence of God belief definition as in philosophy. So either one's fine by me. I go with either. Doesn't make a difference to me one way or the other.
Being a number.
All right, let's go with 2.
Question 2. Have you ever believed in a God? Which religion did you ascribe to, if any? If not, when did you first get introduced to the concept of gods? Question 3.
Question 2.
Have you ever believed in a god?
Yes, I used to believe in the Christian sky daddy of Yahweh and Jebus and Yahweh. So Christianity of some kind.
Which religion did you ascribe to, if any? If not, when did you first get introduced to the concept of gods? Question 3. Were you brought up in a religious area or with a religious family?
Yes, my parents are both very religious. They still are very religious. I went to Catholic schools, Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. Parents went to all different kinds of churches. They weren't Catholic. Yes. So yes.
How did those people around you react to you coming out as an atheist?
They didn't react much at all. Like, there were bigger problems at the time from my major depression. That was a bigger concern. So it's not really an issue that I came out as an atheist, as much as the suicidal part was significantly more concerning to them. So it wasn't really a big concern at the time.
If you grew up in a non-religious area and with a non-religious family...
Give your answers in the chat, too. You guys, you can answer the questions. Answer along with us.
How were your first interactions with heavily religious people? Question 4. What arguments or other evidence do you find most convincing against the existence of gods or various religions?
Against? Did he say against? Against the existence of gods or various religions. I would say that the best argument against the existence of a god is the fact that there's no evidence for it. All ideas start as imaginary until demonstrated otherwise. And so if somebody says X exists, it's by default just a thing in their imagination until evidence is presented. No evidence is presented, therefore it's most likely imaginary. And so we can just go with the things, like, it's only reasonable to believe the things that do have evidence, like physics, biology, chemistry, etc., etc. Those are the only things that are reasonable to believe, and anytime you go beyond that, it's more reasonable to believe it's imaginary. So we can just go with physics. That is the best argument against the existence of gods. Science.
Convincing against the existence of gods or various religions. Question 5. What arguments or other evidence do you find most convincing, interesting, or thought-provoking for the existence of a deity?
The best actual evidence for the existence of a god is the future prediction in the Bhagavad Gita of the age of the earth being 4.3 billion years old, which is actually relatively close to the 4.5 billion that it actually is. That is the best evidence for the existence of a god. The fact that they predicted the age of the earth with a high level of accuracy. If there were tons of those kinds of predictions in the Bhagavad Gita, that would be much stronger evidence than any other religion has. Right now, they have the best with just one prediction, which isn't very good, but it's something.
Question 6. What behaviours do you see from your fellow atheists or non-theists that you'd most like to change?
The fact that they are not giving me money. Yes, I like this non-behavior. They're not giving me money. I'd like to change this behavior. They should all give me money. Pope, make me the Pope of atheism. John from America. John from, haha. Observer effect does not apply to consciousness. Observer effect is a result of systems collapse, so not conscious things. Not evidence of a god, which is why it's not taken seriously in physics as evidence of a god.
Or non-theists that you'd most like to change?
I mean, I guess the spirit of this question is supposed to be like annoying arguments, annoying habits, or whatever. I don't really know. I don't really have any position on like what atheists do that I'd like to change. I don't really care. Like, I don't particularly see groups of people as meaningful in that way. So I don't care. So I don't really have a serious answer for this question.
Question 7. Religion brings people together as a community. It offers support, various rituals that bring family together to help deal with death and all that sort of thing. But what does your local atheist community do to support folks in this regard? If either you have no local atheist community or your local community doesn't do anything, what sort of things would you like to see from an atheist community in this regard?
Well, in this regard, is he talking about like charity work?
Community. It offers support, various rituals that bring family together to help deal with death and all that sort of thing. But what does your local atheist...
So, bringing community together, I definitely think that's important. What I'd like to see is atheist churches. I would like to see atheist churches where what they do... Thank you for the super chat. Shut up and take my money. Antipode cereal. What I would like to see atheist communities do is have atheist churches who host debates regularly, host talks regularly, TED Talks, invite speakers, and bring in more of a community. I'd like to see Reiki tables. I like Reiki tables. They're super relaxing. Meditation thingies, spiritualist, whatever, what's it to not. It's bring in food, pizza, movies, whatever. I'd like to see churches that are just like Christian churches where you hang out and talk about stuff and interact, play games, have Xboxes and whatever. Massage tables, that kind of stuff. I'd like to just see an atheist church with a bunch of cool things that people can come do on Sundays after like a TED Talk or a lecture or a debate. Have like a debate with ribs, ribs debate. You can sell ribs. That'd be cool. Lots of different options, but I definitely am planning to start an atheist church that does this kind of stuff.
Atheist community do to support folks in this regard? If either you have no local atheist community or your... Question 8. Do you think moral statements like it is wrong to torture a small child for fun express truth? If yes...
Yes, I am a moral realist. Except torturing babies is totally fine. That's okay.
What do you think makes it true? For example...
I think that what makes it true is its correspondence to reality. I think that moral statements are a law of nature, like gravity is a law of nature.
Is it the society, the people, or is it true regardless of what people believe? If no, what do you think it actually expresses? Is it emotions or intuitions, or are you giving people instructions? Number 9. If there was one theistic religion you had to choose to be true, what would it be and why?
Maybe Jainism, just because it's the pacifist, non-violent one. No, I'm not going to stop with the atheist church thing. We're definitely doing the atheist church thing. Definitely, yes. That's kind of the point. Antipode cereal. It's supposed to be an oxymoron. It's kind of the point. And it's because religious people always say, "Oh, atheism is a religion too." I'll just adopt that. I'm going to take it and be like, "Yep, I'm going to make atheism a religion too, and it's going to be better than your religion." That's going to be the goal. So, Jainism would probably be the most moral religion I could think of. So I'd probably go with it simply because it had the most moral values. Do I believe in determinism? Yes. But see, other than that, I mean, I might go with like the Norse mythology because I think it's cool. It's the most interesting one. Something that gave you power in a sense, or my religion. I do my religion with the objective morality, the best of all possible worlds. That would be the best one. I haven't studied much about Zoroastrianism. All I know is that it was the first monotheism.
And no cop-outs saying they're spaghetti monster or anything like that. Question 10. Do you enjoy any theistic content?
Maybe. I mean, I guess in a sense I enjoy like watching the theistic debates and hearing their arguments and learning how to counter them in a way. I guess. Maybe.
If so, which channels would you recommend to your fellow atheists and non-theists?
I guess like Trinity Radio is a good ground starter for many common theist beliefs. STR is a decent one. What's it? The Cross-Examined with Frank Turek is a decent one. The William Lane Craig Reasonable Faith one is a decent one. John Lennox, decent. Some more advanced stuff would be like Richard Swinburne and Alvin Plantinga. I don't know. Those are probably the guesses I'd have.
If not, are there any theistic channels that you've seen that do present some good arguments, even if you don't agree with their conclusions?
So technically, like Siddharth from Theology Unleashed presents the best arguments because he actually says, "Oh, here's testable predictions that Hinduism, or it's not a Hindu, he's a Hari Krishna. He's a Hari Krishna provides." So like Theology Unleashed channel with Arjuna, where he has Siddharth on, and Siddharth makes actual predictions and stuff and says those are evidence. That's probably the best evidence that theists present.
And that's it. That's the end of the questions. I look forward to viewing or reading your responses. And maybe if you post anything interesting enough, we can have you on to discuss it with us as well. We've already got an invitation sent out to a secular theist who responded to our video to explain his perspective on things. And
Wait, hold up. Secular theist. Wait a minute. Does not compute. Secular theist? Well, that sounds like the atheist church. Like, is that an intentional oxymoron, or does he actually mean it? Secular theist.
I'd like to extend that invitation to anyone who has particularly interesting answers. You've been watching the 10 questions for atheists and non-theists. I'm Joe from Answers in Reason. Have yourself a good one.
Not a fan of the outro music. Definitely not a fan. Answers in Reason channel. Ooh. Noah Plum's good. All right. Well, that's it for that video. That was a short one. Short, easy questions. It's only like 5 minutes. I guess that's technically true. What else? What else should we do? Should we do another video or something? Probably. What is your take on postmodernism, especially Gene Berdenthal's simulacra and simulation? Gene Berdenthal, simulacrum and simulation. Baudrillard. Baudrillard? The simulacrum is never that which conceals truth. It is the truth which conceals that there is none. The simulacrum is true. Well, okay. Ecclesiastes. I have not read this. I don't really have much of a position on it. Simulacra and simulation delineates the sign order into 4 stages. First stage, faithful image copy, where we believe, and it may be correct, that a sign is a reflection of a profound reality. This is a good appearance. Second stage is perversions of reality. Third stage is makes the absence of a profound reality. Fourth stage is a pure simulacrum, in which the simulacrum has no relationship to any reality whatsoever. Well, that's silly. So if it has no relationship to any reality whatsoever, does that mean it has no logic? Like, again, we aren't even capable of imagining such a thing, if it could even exist. So, not a fan so far. Baudrillard. Well, I couldn't read it on the YouTube thing because it shows up smaller on my screen. Gobbledygook. Yes, that's exactly right. Seer, it does sound like gobbledygook. All right, I'll end this video, start a new one. Let's do a